You likely have no idea how you're actually operating. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but it is true for the most of us. We are so busy swimming underwater that we never bring our head up long enough to assess where we actually are right now. And this is especially true for those of us with hunter brains. We convince ourselves that things are fine because we're busy. We stay in that GSD, which stands for getting shit done state, because we've convinced ourselves that we thrive in chaos. But the truth is, we don't. We're just habitually used to being in chaos, so we think it's normal. Now, at the end of 2024, I completed an exercise that completely shifted my perception of reality and forced my pride and ego to finally get out of the way. And it's called the Alien Eye. Now, I'll walk you through how you can complete this yourself, because I guarantee you're going to get so much out of it. Here's how it works. I want you to imagine that an alien has just landed on Earth from a different world. And for some reason, they've decided to pick you as their role model to observe. They want to understand how humans are meant to operate. But here's the critical part. They can't pick up on intentions. They can't pick up on emotions either. All they're aware of are the behaviors that they can see you do. So the question is this. How would the alien describe you based on your behaviors alone? Not on what you intended to do, not on what you plan on doing, not what you think you're doing, but how you spend your time and what you objectively do. Now, when I sat down and answered this question myself at the end of 2024, here are some of the things that I wrote. Work obsessed, doesn't have much freedom, always seems stressed out, has a beautiful partner that he doesn't spend much quality time with, eats relatively healthily, works out consistently, always seems to be isolated and alone, doesn't really speak to his family much, enjoys social interactions, but he's rarely in them, seems to always be studying. No matter what he achieves, he never looks satisfied. Now, at the time, reading that list was pretty uncomfortable. Mainly because it was true, and it meant that I could no longer hide behind my intentions. I couldn't say, but I'm planning to spend more time with the missus, because quite frankly, the alien didn't give a shit about my plans. The alien only saw what I did. Now, once I'd written this list, the next step was for me to write down my takeaways and observations. And for me, quite a few things became abundantly clear. I needed to spend more quality time with my partner. So in order to make sure that I actually did that, I had to systemize this into my life. Fast forward to now, and every other Wednesday in my diary, we have a scheduled date night. Because the truth is, if it isn't a system in my life, then it relies on my brain to remember to do it. And my brain just doesn't, because that's not how my brain works. And the observation around how much time I spent alone was also concerning. I was always in that GSD mentality, always working, always grinding, hustling. And mainly because I wore that as a badge of honor at the time. I never really found myself around other people that often that uplifted me and inspired me. So I made a conscious effort to schedule time into my diary away from screens and around those types of people. I also knew that I needed to leave the house more. The alien observed that I sat down on my ass pretty much all day. Now, fortunately, I'm intelligent enough to recognize that this is not good for me, my performance, my business, or my brain. So I very quickly highlighted that I should be doing 2 walks a day for the benefit of both me and the dog. And that is now what I do. So these are just some of the highlights that I had from doing this task. And it categorically changed how I set up both my business and my lifestyle. Now, I know that if I was to complete this task again from where I am right now, what the alien would see would be far more in alignment with the life that I actually wanted to be living. Now, here's the key to this exercise, because I didn't just do this for shits and giggles. Most of us don't know how we are operating because we're spending so much time under the water, swimming away, rather than bringing our head up to assess where we are and where we're going. And a large portion of the results that you're likely getting and not happy with is due to a misalignment between how you want/should be operating versus how you actually are. You just need to take a second to come up above the water and notice it. Now, there's a great quote that I love from John Dewey that perfectly encapsulates the reasoning behind this task. He said, "We do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience." And this is even more true for hunter brains. It's not noticing the mistake that we make that creates learning. It's the reflection on that mistake that does. And this was a pattern that took me far longer than I'd like to admit to break. I would mentally acknowledge the mistakes that I was making and almost commit to myself, right, I'm not going to do that again, thinking that willpower alone would actually help me to do that. But it doesn't. I needed to genuinely reflect on the mistake and assess, why did it happen, and how can I avoid this happening again in the future? What in my environment or in my business needs to change so that the likelihood of that happening again dramatically reduces? So here's what I want you to do. Set aside 20 minutes today and answer the question, how would an alien describe me based on my behaviors alone? I then want you to write down what that alien would see. Then take a break and step away from the task, go and do something else, get your head into a different space. Then I want you to return and write down your takeaways and your observations. What patterns emerge? What misalignments do you notice? How do you feel about the list? How does it make you feel when you look at that list? What needs to change? And most importantly, what systems do you need to put in place so that your behavior matches your intentions and you can actually create change in the future? Because the reality is you're not going to grow into pain. Your brain doesn't work that way. It will resist business growth when your current operating system is chaotic and painful. So the solution here isn't fixing you. It is redesigning how you operate. But you can only do that if you're able to understand how you are actually operating. And this task is going to help you to do that.